Ever wondered why some developers effortlessly switch between React, Angular, and Vue while others struggle with the basics? The secret isn't just coding. It's understanding the core architecture and principles that drive modern JavaScript frameworks. In this video, we will cover JavaScript Frameworks certification practice questions and detailed explanations. Unlock your career potential with our comprehensive JavaScript Frameworks Overview practice exam. In this video, we dive deep into 30 high-yield practice questions designed to mirror the actual JavaScript Frameworks Overview certification. We'll cover everything from virtual DOM and component lifecycle to state management and server-side rendering. Before we jump into the first question, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of our professional certification series. Which of the following best describes the virtual DOM used in frameworks like React? Option A. A direct copy of the browser's HTML and CSS OM. Option B. A lightweight JavaScript representation of the real DOM that allows for efficient updates. Option C. A database-driven DOM that stores user sessions. Option D. A hardware-accelerated rendering engine used by browsers. The correct answer is B. The virtual DOM is a key performance feature in modern frameworks like React. Instead of updating the entire real DOM every time a change occurs, which is computationally expensive, the framework creates a virtual representation in memory. When state changes, it compares the new virtual DOM with a snapshot of the old one, a process called diffing, and only updates the specific parts of the real DOM that actually changed. This minimizes reflows and repaints in the browser. In Angular, what is the primary purpose of dependency injection? D. Option A. To inject CSS styles into specific components. Option B. To allow classes to receive dependencies from an external source rather than creating them internally. Option C. To prevent hackers from injecting malicious scripts into the application. Option D. To automatically update the URL based on user input. The correct answer is B. Dependency injection. D. Is a design pattern used in Angular to increase efficiency and modularity. Instead of a component manually instantiating a service, like a logging service or data fetcher, the Angular framework injects the required instance into the component's constructor. This makes code more testable, reusable, and easier to maintain because the component doesn't need to know how to create the service. It just knows how to use it. Which Vue.js 3 feature allows for better logic reuse and organization by grouping code by logical concern? Option A. Options API. Option B. Vuex store. Option C. Composition API. Option D. Directives. The correct answer is C. The Composition API was introduced in Vue 3 to address the limitations of the Options API in large-scale applications. While the Options API organizes code by property, data, methods, computed, the Composition API allows developers to group code by logical feature, e.g., all code related to searching or pagination stays together. This makes it much easier to extract and reuse logic across different components via composables. Which framework is known for using two-way data binding by default in its classic versions? Option A. React. Option B. Angular. Option C. Preact. Option D. Solid.js. The correct answer is B. Angular. Specifically Angular.js and the subsequent Angular versions via ng model, is famous for two-way data binding. This means that changes in the UI view automatically update the underlying data model, and changes in the data model automatically update the UI. React, by contrast, favors one-way data flow, where state flows down and changes are handled via callbacks or event handlers, providing more predictability in complex apps. In Redux, what is the role of a reducer? Option A. To directly modify the global state object. Option B. To handle asynchronous API calls. Option C. A pure function that takes the current state and an action, and returns a new state. Option D. To provide a user interface for debugging state changes. The correct answer is C. Reducers are fundamental to Redux state management. They must be pure functions, meaning they do not produce side effects and always return the same output for a given input. A reducer never modifies, mutates, the existing state. Instead, it returns a brand new state object that reflects the changes triggered by an action. This immutability allows for features like time travel debugging. What is the primary use case for the useEffect hook in React? Option A. To create a global variable that persists across re-renders. Option B. To perform side effects like data fetching, manual DOM updates, or setting up subscriptions. Option C. To define the HTML structure of the component. Option D. To speed up the rendering of list items. The correct answer is B. The useEffect hook allows functional components to handle side effects. Since functional components are intended to be pure in terms of rendering, any action that happens outside the scope of the return value, like fetching data from an API, interacting with the window object, or setting up a timer, must be placed inside useEffect. It effectively replaces lifecycle methods like component.didMount and component.didUpdate. What does tree shaking refer to in the context of JavaScript framework build tools? Option A. The process of reorganizing the folder structure for better readability. Option B. Removing unused code from the final bundle to reduce file size. Option C. A technique to encrypt the source code for security. Option D. The recursive rendering of a component tree. The correct answer is B. Tree shaking is a form of dead code elimination. When modern bundlers, like Webpack, Rollup, or Vite, build your application, they analyze your import statements. If you import only one function from a large library, tree shaking ensures that only that function, and not the entire library, is included in the final JavaScript file sent to the browser. This is crucial for keeping web applications fast and lightweight. How does Svelte differ significantly from React and Vue in its approach to the DOM? Option A. It uses a triple DOM approach. Option B. It shifts the work from the browser runtime to a build step, compile time. Option C. It does not support CSS styling. Option D. It requires a heavy runtime library to be downloaded by the user. The correct answer is B. Unlike React and Vue, which use a virtual DOM to reconcile changes during runtime, while the app is running in the browser, Svelte is a compiler. It converts your code into highly optimized, plain JavaScript during the build process. This means there is no virtual DOM overhead in the browser, resulting in smaller bundles and potentially faster performance for many use cases. What is a single-page application, SPA? Option A. An application that consists of only one HTML file and never changes its content. Option B. A web app that loads a single HTML page and dynamically updates content as the user interacts with it. Option C. A mobile app that is converted into a website. Option D. A website that only works on one specific browser. The correct answer is B. An SPA, single-page application, provides a fluid user experience by avoiding full-page reloads. When a user clicks a link, the framework's router intercepts the request and updates the DOM dynamically using JavaScript. Only the necessary data is fetched, usually via JSON, making the app feel more like a desktop application than a traditional multi-page website. In React, what are props? Option A. Internal state that can be changed by the component itself. Option B. External inputs passed from a parent component to a child component. Option C. Functions used to handle CSS animations. Option D. The metadata used by search engines to index the page. The correct answer is B. Props, short for properties, are the mechanism for passing data down the component tree. They are read-only, or immutable, from the perspective of the child component receiving them. This ensures a predictable, one-way data flow, where the parent controls the data and the child simply renders it or uses it to perform logic. Which lifecycle phase is responsible for cleaning up subscriptions or timers to prevent memory leaks? Option A. Mounting. Option B. Updating. Option C. Unmounting. Option D. Initialization. The correct answer is C. The unmounting phase occurs when a component is being removed from the DOM. This is the critical time to perform cleanup tasks, such as invalidating timers, canceling network requests, or removing event listeners. In React class components, this is done in component will unmount. In functional components, it's done by returning a cleanup function from the useEffect hook. What is server-side rendering, SSR? Option A. Rendering the app on the client's phone. Option B. Generating the full HTML for a page on the server in response to a request. Option C. A method to store JavaScript files on a CDN. Option D. Updating the database directly from the browser. The correct answer is B. SSR allows the server to pre-render the JavaScript application into a full HTML string before sending it to the browser. This improves SEO, as search engines can easily crawl the content, and time to first meaningful paint, as the user sees content immediately without waiting for large JS bundles to download and execute. Frameworks like Next.js, React, and Nuxt.js, Vue, are popular for implementing SSR. Which Vue.js directive is used for conditional rendering? Option A, v-for. Option B, vbind. Option C, vif. Option D, vmodel. The correct answer is C. The vif directive in Vue.js is used to conditionally render a block of code. The block will only be rendered if the directive's expression returns a truthy value. If the value is falsy, The element is completely removed from the DOM. Unlike vShow, which only toggles the CSS display property. Which of the following is the official state management library for Vue 3? Option A, Vuex. Option B, Redux. Option C, Pinia. Option D, Mobex. The correct answer is C. While Vuex was the standard for years, Pinia is now the official recommendation for Vue 3. Pinia offers a simpler API, better TypeScript support, and eliminates the need for mutations, which were required in Vuex, making the state management process more intuitive and less boilerplate heavy. What character is used for interpolation in Angular templates? Option A, Option B, Option C, Option D. The correct answer is A. Interpolation in Angular uses double curly braces to embed dynamic string values into HTML templates. This allows data from the component class to be displayed to the user. For example, title would be replaced by the value of the title property in the component's TypeScript file. What is the primary benefit of using useMemo in React? Option A, to store a value in local storage. Option B, to memoize expensive calculations so they aren't recalculated on every render. Option C, to create a reference to a DOM element. Option D, to force a component to re-render. The correct answer is B. The useMemo hook is a performance optimization tool. It stores the result of a calculation and only reruns that calculation if one of its dependencies changes. This is extremely useful when a component re-renders frequently but contains complex logic, like filtering a massive array, that doesn't need to be executed unless specific data changes. What does hydration mean in the context of web frameworks? Option A, adding water cooling to the server hosting the app. Option B, the process where client-side JavaScript takes over static HTML sent by the server. Option C, compiling TypeScript into JavaScript. Option D, the automatic compression of image assets. The correct answer is B. When using SSR, the server sends a static HTML page to the browser. However, that HTML isn't interactive yet. Hydration is the process where the framework's JavaScript runs on the client, attaches event listeners to the existing HTML, and initializes the application state, making the page fully interactive without needing to rebuild the DOM from scratch. What are scope styles in Vue and Angular? Option A, styles that apply to every page on the internet. Option B, CSS that only affects the specific component it is defined in. Option C, a way to write CSS inside JavaScript files. Option D, styles that only work on mobile devices. The correct answer is B. Scope styles ensure that the CSS you write for a specific component doesn't leak and affect other parts of the application. The framework achieves this by adding unique attributes to the component's HTML elements and targeting those attributes in the generated CSS. This solves the problem of global namespace collisions in traditional CSS. Which tool is commonly used to transform modern JavaScript ES6+ into older versions for browser compatibility? Option A, Babel. Option B, ESLint. Option C, Prettier. Option D, Post CSS. The correct answer is A. Babel is a JavaScript transcompiler. Because different browsers support different versions of JavaScript, developers use Babel to write code using the latest features, like arrow functions or classes. Babel then converts that code into an older version, like ES5, that can run on older browsers like Internet Explorer 11 or older versions of Safari. Which framework is often described as opinionated due to its built-in features for routing, forms, and HTTP requests? Option A, React. Option B, Vue. Option C, Angular. Option D, Svelte. The correct answer is C. Angular is considered an opinionated framework because it provides a complete, integrated, batteries included solution. It has a standard way of doing things: routing, services, form handling. React, by contrast, is a library focused only on the UI. Developers must choose their own external libraries for routing, like React Router or state management. What is the purpose of React fragments? Option A, to break the application into smaller files. Option B, to group a list of children without adding extra nodes to the DOM. Option C, to store temporary data in the browser. Option D, to handle errors in the component tree. The correct answer is B. In React, a component must return a single root element. Often, this leads developers to wrap multiple elements in a div, which can clutter the DOM and mess up CSS layouts. Like Flexbox, fragments, less than, greater than, or less than React, fragment greater than, allow you to group multiple elements together without adding an unnecessary wrapper div to the actual HTML output. What is a pipe in Angular used for? Option A, to transfer data between different servers. Option B, to transform data in the template, e.g., formatting dates or currency. Option C, to create a connection to a database. Option D, to define the root paths of the application. The correct answer is B. Pipes are simple functions used in Angular templates to accept an input value and return a transformed value. For example, the date pipe can turn a raw JavaScript date object into a user-friendly string like January 1st, 2024 feet. They are a clean way to handle data formatting directly in the Vue layer without changing the underlying data. What does code splitting achieve? Option A, it allows multiple developers to work on the same file. Option B, it breaks the application into smaller chunks that are loaded on demand. Option C, it encrypts the code to prevent theft. Option D, it automatically generates documentation from comments. The correct answer is B. Code splitting is an optimization technique where the build tool creates multiple smaller bundles instead of one giant main.js file. Using lazy loading, the application only downloads the code needed for the current page. For instance, the admin dashboard code is only loaded if the user actually navigates to that section, significantly reducing the initial load time. Which hook would you use to access a DOM element directly in React? Option A, use state. Option B, use context. Option C, use ref. Option D, use reducer. The correct answer is C. The useRef hook creates a ref object that persists for the lifetime of the component. While it can be used to store any mutable value, its most common use is to access a DOM element directly, e.g., to focus an input, trigger an animation, or integrate with a third-party DOM library like D3.js. In Vue, what is the main difference between a method and a computed property? Option A. Methods are cached, while computed properties are not. Option B. Computed properties are cached based on their reactive dependencies. Option C. Methods can only be used in the script tag. Option D. There is no difference. They are interchangeable. The correct answer is B. Computed properties in Vue are cached. This means if a computed property depends on first name and last name, it will only recalculate if one of those two variables changes. If the component re-renders for some other reason, Vue returns the previously calculated result instantly. Methods, however, run every single time a re-render occurs, which can be less efficient for heavy logic. What is XSS cross-site scripting, and how do frameworks help prevent it? Option A. A way to speed up page loads by using multiple servers. Option B. A vulnerability where malicious scripts are injected into web pages. Frameworks prevent it by automatically sanitizing data. Option C. A method for styling components using XML. Option D. A database error that occurs when too many users log in at once. The correct answer is B. XSS occurs when an attacker injects a script, like less than script greater than alert, hacked, less than script greater than, into a page viewed by other users. Modern frameworks like React and Angular automatically escape or sanitize content rendered in templates. This means they treat strings as plain text rather than executable HTML, JavaScript, effectively neutralizing the most common XSS attack vectors by default. What is the context API in React used for? Option A. To manage the context of this in-class components. Option B. To pass data through the component tree without having to pass props down manually at every level. Option C. To define the background color of the application. Option D. To connect the app to a backend database. The correct answer is B. The Context API solves the problem of prop drilling, where you have to pass a piece of data, like a user's theme preference or authentication status, through 10 components just to reach one deeply nested child. Context creates a provider that wraps the app and allows any child component to consume the data directly, regardless of how deep it is. Which testing library is most commonly associated with component testing in the React ecosystem? Option A, Junit. Option B, React Testing Library, RTL. Option C, PyTest. Option D, Mocha. The correct answer is B. React Testing Library, RTL, is the industry standard for testing React components. Unlike older tools that focused on testing internal component state, RTL encourages testing how the user interacts with the app, e.g., clicking a button and seeing a message. This leads to more robust tests that don't break when you refactor your internal code structure. In Svelte, How do you declare a reactive statement that runs whenever certain variables change? Option A. Using the watch keyword. Option B. Using the dollar label. Option C. Using the useEffect function. Option D. Svelte does not support reactive statements. The correct answer is B. Svelte uses a unique syntax for reactivity called labeled statements. By prefixing a line of code with single quote, you tell the Svelte compiler to rerun that code whenever any of the variables referenced within it change. For example, doubled equals count asterisk 2 will automatically update doubled every time count is modified. What does NPM stand for in the JavaScript ecosystem? Option A. Node Package Manager. Option B. New Programming Model. Option C. Network Protocol Module. Option D. Node Performance Monitor. The correct answer is A. NPM, Node Package Manager, is the world's largest software registry. It is used by JavaScript developers to share and borrow packages, libraries, frameworks, and tools. When you use commands like npm install React, you are using this manager to download and manage the dependencies of your project. That wraps up our 30-question deep dive into JavaScript frameworks. Whether you're a React enthusiast, an Angular architect, or a Vue fan, understanding these core concepts is what separates junior developers from seniors. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your study group. Let us know in the comments how many questions you got right. For the complete exam prep kit and full-length mock exams, check the link in the description below.